Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Sir Spam 28 here, bringing you some more World of Warships closed beta action. I'm queuing up in my USS Pensacola, which is a ship that I am madly in love with. Half for gameplay reasons, half for sentimental reasons, as already explained in the previous video that I did on the Pensacola, which was my very first match that I ever played in the Pensacola, which turns out to be a pretty good one. So, from the beginning, this ship has treated me very kind, and we'll see if we can't continue that trend here on Islands of Ice. Looking at the team deployment at the beginning of the match, I see my battleships down here. Looking at the enemy team, they do not have an aircraft carrier, so I don't need to provide that AA escort, but at the same time, I do want to get kind of in this position and make sure that I can support both A and B while we wait for those battleships to catch up. The reason I want to do this is because from this position, if there's any sneaky destroyers that cap B and then want to make a run at the battleships, or what's more likely is destroyers sneaking into A and then weaving their way through these islands to try to get a flank on the battleships and get a torpedo run going on, I can support them from this area. Don't forget that a cruiser can provide a screen for a battleship against other cruisers and destroyers just as effectively as you can screen battleships from aircraft. So even though the enemy team doesn't have an aircraft carrier in this game, you still want to be putting yourself in a position where you can protect your capital ships, especially on a domination, because the battleships are worth so many points. You do not want to be losing them early in the game, as that really not only decreases your firepower, and in this match the enemy team has 5 battleships to R3, so we're going to need all 3 of these battleships, and we're going to need them to perform. So not only is it a decrease in firepower for your team, but the points differential that losing a battleship early can create can be something that's very hard to come back from. So like I said, we're going to steam in this direction, kind of stick around. We have a destroyer in B as kind of a scout, so he's going to warn us if anything's getting around that iceberg, but we can see that they have destroyer force in A, like we were worried about. And this tailing Nagato is really the one that's in trouble. So we're getting back to try to get within gun range, and we're just about there to see if we can't, you know, provide some 8-inch freedom
Our team has taken the lead.
to the enemy team over here. As this guy is positioned himself, he's positioned himself just so incredibly close to these icebergs over here that it'd be pretty easy for a destroyer to just kind of pop out, fire torpedoes, dodge back in. So as we're coming around, we spot this cruiser coming around the iceberg. We'll see if we can't line up on him a little bit, and then revert to the destroyer. The destroyers have so much cover in this area that it's hard, you know, to keep them constantly in range, and our shells fell just a little bit short there. But as this guy's coming out of the smoke, we'll keep our eyes open for him. There he is. And we'll see if we can't get some shots in us at him. They've got a Congo kind of far away. Well, that Miyoko's almost done, so we'll see if we can't aid him and then swing into A. He should go down to that other Pensacola, hopefully, which means I can actually start turning tighter here to get in position to kill that other destroyer. Yeah. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. There it is. Okay. So now we're going to go try to get into A and make sure that that destroyer goes down wherever he goes. Again, as we're screening our battleships have started to engage their battleships, which is good. And it looks like we're going to have a stranglehold on A. Unfortunately, we found the bulk of their battleship forces. And this is kind of a compromising position for us. And we've somehow run aground on an invisible shelf here, which is bad, as we could have torpedoes coming at us anytime now. But that destroyer should be gone, which means that A should be secured, and I want to get the hell out of Dodge before that Congo comes around that island. And oh, we need to keep... No, we'll go forward. We'll go forward. I think we can avoid these. Maybe, if we start to turn and get a little bit lucky here. Looks like we're gonna get hit by one, which we can take. Oh, the range. Wow. So we got pretty lucky there. These guys... Let's see where those shots go. The problem with those shots, like when you're on an island like that, is they just there's really no way to adjust the range. It's like I want those shots to arc over that island, not go straight into it. Okay, we've secured A. We have C. My ship would be most effective on this map for sure around D. You know, fighting the other cruisers and destroyers, but that's not where I found myself. I found myself down here at A, facing off against the battleships at a range where the battleships have an advantage on me. So we'll shade away a little bit as we come around this headland. Hopefully our battleships and our destroyers are keeping these guys occupied, and we've got some islands in between us and them. But as this guy comes around, we'll see if we can't unload some freedom into him. There he is. And he's down to
the enemy team
torpedoes.
has taken the lead.
So we'll actually slow down a little bit here, see if we can't get at least our rear turrets in on this guy. Looks like we got all of our guns away. Hopefully get some damage numbers in on him. Yep, took out a turret as well. So we'll come around. Luckily, there are battleships keeping them occupied, but at the same time, we're also losing. We've lost one of our battleships, and again, they have 5 battleships to R3, so loss of battleship hits us harder than it hits them. And luckily, our aircraft carrier is making up the difference, as we do have that aircraft carrier and they don't, which means that torpedo bombers are an equalizing factor, as you can see there. That Amagi just had a quarter of his health chunked off from a torpedo squadron. So we need to get into B and cap it, because they're capping C, and they obviously have a stranglehold on D. We've got a brave battleship, you know, kind of choking off that D area, not allowing those destroyers and cruisers to really steam down and threaten our aircraft carrier, which is nice. But this battleship has broken the center and is getting through.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
And pressuring our aircraft carrier. So we'll see what we can do about that. As we get just into gun range here. Boom, there it is. Should hold the lead. Yeah, you can see he's shooting at our aircraft carrier. So we'll swing around, we'll shoot through this little gap here as we get our rear turrets around. You can see just how far these rear turrets point. So, front turrets, a little bit behind. So we'll see what we can do there. He obviously doesn't want to give up the B cap, but he's going to. Alright, we'll start a hard turn here. Don't want to get in the way of this battleship. And this is actually going to be interesting. We should avoid this collision. So we start a hard turn here. He's going to be tracking the battleship that way, and I'm going to be tracking this way. So he's going to have to make a choice. If he wants to shoot at me or shoot at the battleship. And it looks like he's staying pointing at the battleship. Nope, he's swinging around for me. Which, you know, I might die in this situation. We'll see if we can't cross this T. With superior speed maneuverability. But at the same time, that's going to give that battleship free reign on him. And there he switched back to the battleship. He kind of thought better, because battleships can do that to him. 6,000 damage he's repairing. I might actually be able to get a kill on this guy as we continue to close the distance, kind of crossing the T. His secondaries are opening up. But we're able to take him out. Now we've got 2 points and a healthy points lead, so while we're on this course, we'll steam back and see if we can't help contain those ships at C and D. So you can see with the Pensacola, even against battleships, you can still be effective. Like, given the deployment of the enemy team, once we mopped up that destroyer in A, my guns would have been most effective around the D point area. But 'twas not to be. We had to act before we could gather information on the enemy team and their deployment. But we did what we set out to do. We started kind of in this area, and we said we wanted to protect A and B, and by golly, we did. We recognized that that destroyer was going to be the biggest threat to our battleship, as well as the biggest threat to the A-cap, so we got in there, finished him off. To be fair, our destroyers that got in there before us did a lot of good work, but we were there as kind of backup. We were also there to kill the Miyoko if we needed to, but we didn't. The other Pensacola was able to take him out. And then we swung around and started to engage the enemy battleships. And you can see these 8-inch guns, they do a significant amount of damage to the battleships. I mean, obviously, they're not like the battleship caliber guns. This sim's coming in. If he continues that course, those shells do have a chance of hitting him. Mogami over there is steaming in this direction towards C. He's not back-cutting to B. He's running away from the other Pensacola, who has also survived. People give the Pensacola grief. It's a good ship. We've just lost a battleship, and now we've got to flex back, and we've got to protect the Lexington. He's another capital ship, and we want to maintain the points lead, as if we maintain the points lead, we win the game. This guy is behind an island. If he pops out in this direction, we can get him. He's at 5,900 health. That is well within our ability to kill. He has tunnel vision on that Lexington. I know that's where he wants to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-aim here for when he pops out, and we'll see if we can't get him dead in a salvo or two. Let's put them right there and see where those go. I'm going to go ahead and turn into him to try to avoid as many shells as possible. We got hit by one, and now we should have the lead that we need. Once again, adjusting my course in between shots, and you can see those are going to miss. And now we're going to go ahead and wait for ourselves to reload, and he's starting to shade away a little bit. He should be dead. 800 damage. Ain't no thing. Oh, man. Low damage rolls, but he's starting to run away. He knows that he can't handle the truth that is the Pensacola. So send some shells in his general vicinity and see what we can do to not only protect our Lexington, but win the game. So, 2,327 XP. Again, this is premium account and first one of the day. 153,000 credits. 3 ships destroyed. 4 modules critically damaged. I think all of those were, in fact, turrets of battleships, and 34 hits. Not the greatest game, but still pretty good. If you take a look at the base XP, middle of the team, actually bottom half of the team with 1,034, which is not a bad base XP score. It just goes to show how well our team actually did. This was a pretty good team effort, and I'm glad that I did not have to hard carry. The Nagato pulled his weight. I said that we were down battleships, and the Nagato was going to have to, or all 3 of our battleships were going to have to perform. And this Nagato, with almost 2,000 base XP, really did the job. Fuso, over 1,000 XP, did the job as well. This Nagato, unfortunately, not so much with 687, but still, 687, that's not a 200 or 300 XP game, so he obviously got some good hits in. The Lexington, also with almost 1,000, pulled his weight. And And then we see the Cleveland there, and the other Pensacola, and the Sims. We're all pretty close, from 1,000 to 1,300. Had a lot of ships in that range. And then this Nagato was obviously the standout star. You can see he didn't actually sink anything, but just by his base experience, he did a lot of damage to a lot of ships. And we were there as kind of the cleanup crew, which is a role that sometimes you have to play, because don't forget, you can do all the damage to a ship. You can leave a ship on 1 HP, but that ship can still fire back at you. It's still just as dangerous, unless obviously its turrets or whatever have been taken out. But for the most part, a ship on low HP is still just as dangerous as a ship on full HP. So being in the cleanup crew, looking for those low HP targets and taking them out, is a role to play on a team. And it's just lessening the guns of the enemy. That's why you kind of want to try to focus fire and coordinate fire on a team if you can. That's because if you can burn down one enemy ship's health, you take its guns out of the fight. And while they're spreading the damage around to your team, you can just focus fire and take a gun out, take a gun out, take a gun out, take a gun out, and then all of a sudden, you just have way more team DPS than they do, and that should allow you to win the game. Looking at the detailed report, you can see we fired 175 shells, which is a healthy amount, but we did hit a whole lot. We had some long-range shots and some close-range shots. This is where we hit the majority of our shots. And for only 22,000 damage, because the majority of the targets we were shooting at were battleships, so obviously our damage numbers are going to be lessened, as we're not getting penetrations, we're not getting Citadel hits. The only other thing that we shot at, besides battleships, was that Sims, and he was on super low health, so we only got like 800 or 900 damage done to him to take him out. And then we started dishing it out to the 3 battleships. Now you can see that we killed 2 of the battleships that we were shooting at, and we did module damage to everything. And that's these 8-inch guns. They have a chance of penetrating or over-penetrating those turrets on the battleships and taking out guns, which is something that you want to be doing. Looking at the rest of our numbers, you can see that we got 1 secondary shell hit for 215 damage. Not a whole lot there, and there weren't any enemy aircraft to worry about besides spotter planes, but none of them flew over us. We didn't have to shoot any of them down. On the flip side, damage received, 3,893 damage from 2 battleship AP shells. So, hardly a scratch. So we got through this match, I think providing a positive strategic impact, and providing, obviously sinking 2 battleships and a destroyer. And the sinking of those 2 battleships, like I said at the beginning of the match, keeping our battleships alive because of that points value on the battleships. So sinking and finishing off these 2 battleships also really helps secure the win on a domination game. So look to be, if you can, that kind of, that guy with the mop and bucket, that cleanup crew, looking for those low health priority targets and sinking them. Destroyer, obviously, at the beginning of the match is a priority target, and then towards the mid-game and end-game of the match, the battleships become the priority targets. And, like I said, fighting battleships in a Pensacola isn't the ideal thing, but you could kind of see by me kind of using hardcover, using our friendly battleship as a distraction, making the enemy battleships make a choice via who they want to aim at, me or the battleship. And you can see that by, I could have turned around in front of that battleship and been running with him, but then it would have been really easy for the enemy battleship to, fire a few turrets at the battleship, then turn and fire a few turrets at me, or fire a salvo at the battleship and then next salvo fire at me. But by going in an opposite direction, he could only keep his aim on one of us, and he had to let the other one go. And he chose to fire at the friendly battleship, which was probably the smarter decision, but that allowed me to get good shots on him, to take out guns, and then eventually actually send him to the bottom of the sea, which was nice. So, again, to reiterate a few key points at the end of the match. At the beginning of the match, we recognized that there wasn't any enemy aircraft carrier, so we didn't have to provide an AA screen. We still recognized that we needed to provide a destroyer and cruiser screen to our battleship flotilla. So we turned around, positioned ourselves in a way where if any destroyers wanted to make a run on our battleships, we could intercept them. We recognized that our forces that committed themselves to the A point were going to need some help, so we went in there. We took out the destroyer that was harrying our destroyers in the A point, secured the A point, and then, given our position on the map, recognized that we were going to have to kind of be an annoyance to the enemy battleship flotilla that was steaming through B up the center of the map, and provided some supporting fire there. eventually actually taking out 2 of them. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this match. Not the most exciting game, but again, I just wanted to get this out there to show you kind of my thought process during a match and my tactical choices. And you can see that even though this wasn't the most exciting game, we still walked away with overall 2,327 experience and a base experience score of 1,000. And that's really what you want to be shooting at. You want to have an average experience of at least 1,000 per game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me what you think about this video in the comments below. What you think about the Pensacola, what you think about tactics, how you like to play in cruisers versus battleships, any other things that you like to do or want to see. And I will see you next time.